Howdy.
Hi.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeehaw, we made it.
We made it.
Look at
Look
this.
at
We're all stepping into the multiverse.
us.
That's how it feels.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah, I've seen you two before.
Yeah, I think you've been on the internet a little bit.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And wasn't at least one of you on a reality TV show at some stage?
Maybe.
I
don't know.
I don't want to talk about my time on Fuckboy Island.
Okay, that's fair. That's very fair. And I appreciate that.
Hey, everybody.
All right, guys. How are we feeling?
Good.
Up for it?
It's been a busy time in politics lately.
It has been overwhelming.
Yes.
So for the listeners, we have been kind of all week trying to it's been a struggle trying to kind of collate all the news stories to speak on for the limited time that we have. We've done our best. We have, I think, the topics we're going to be talking about, I feel, are very pertinent and very consequential to today's news. So before we kick things off, let's start off light. What movies or TV shows have we been getting into lately, guys? Does anybody have any kind of opening recommendations for our listeners before we get into the heavy stuff?
I've been watching Alice in Borderlands, which is quite intense. I like to be intense at all times in life, even when I'm relaxing. But it's really good. It's kind of like Squid Games, but like better.
Oh, that's high praise.
Yeah. It's quite dystopian, kind of. You know, they enter the underworld and they play all these games, and why are they there?
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of it's one of those like ever since kind of we're watching at the moment this show. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's based on a book, All Her Fault. Have you heard of it? All Her Fault. So it's kind of like a domestic thriller. It's about this woman who shows up to the address of a play date that she believes her child to be at, and discovers that not only is her child not there, but the address is fake and the child has been kidnapped. And the rest of the series is kind of like a mix of whodunit and kind of, lots of plot twists. It's very heavy viewing. It's one of those things. Like, have you ever watched a show that you know is of a high quality? You know it's of a high quality, but you're just like, this is not my vibe. Like, this is kind of like, it's like one of those kind of things. I'm watching it with the wife at the moment. She loves torturing herself with the TV, so like I guess I have to torture myself with it as well. But hey, that's not to say it's not of a high quality. It's of a very high quality. It has Sarah Snook, I think is her name, for the Succession fans. So she's the lead in it. Yeah.
See, I've been watching Pluribus on Apple TV, the new Vince Gilligan.
Yeah.
It's so trippy. It's basically the world becomes infected with a hive mind who's lovely and wants to help and seems to be very friendly. But there's like 11 people or 12 people that can't be infected for some reason. And we follow one of them, who is a best-selling author of trash books. And she's an angry person, and her partner dies in the process of being converted. And so it's very weird. And there's a whole bunch of like end of the world kind of tropes that you get with it, and there's a lot of sort of throwbacks to other sort of there's a Rick and Morty episode or two where there's a hive mind that's involved, for example. There's a couple of Star Trek references in there, but like the Golden Girls make an appearance in it, which is super weird. Like it's just a very strange show where you just want to unpick all the threads and go, well, where's this going to go? What's going to happen next? Yeah, you got one character who ends up flying around in Air Force One because it was available, so why wouldn't I? It's a very strange show.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I
You're
love
watching intense stuff.
Yeah. The whole thing, like I was like, oh, yep, I can relate to that, of kind of being one of 11 people who haven't succumbed to this.
Yeah.
What was it? Hive?
The hive mind. Yeah.
Hive mind, yeah. That kind of, that's what it feels like, except half the country are feeling like that. Probably more, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is first on the agenda, guys? What do we have, Paul?
So I wanted you guys, because I'm not an expert on this, and you two are the education experts. I want to talk education because I'm scared. I have not been directly involved in the education system in a very, very long time. But my grandkids are going through this, and the whiplash that I'm seeing as somebody who's not in the system, to changes that are going on, to curriculum shifts, to pulling out things like Te Reo Maori and Te Tiriti obligations. I'm really curious to know what your guys' perspectives is. These are headlines that have popped up over the last month on this topic, so it's certainly not something that's going away. But I'm really curious, from inside the system, from people who are researching the system, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Well, from actually being in the classroom, and I'm in a leadership role at the school, I can tell you that it is fucking hectic. I won't use the word despair, but there is very much kind of like an air of, we get given a new curriculum, we have to plan around this new curriculum, takes, and that could be, we're like, I'm talking, we come in for PD days, teacher only days, we have countless planning meetings on it, and then you'll find out the next week, nope, we're undoing all of that, and we're going to put something else in, and it's going to be worse. For example, I'm literacy leader, and they're saying that, oh, well, you have to do handwriting every single day. Handwriting is an important skill. It is. I'm not going to, I'm not going to talk shit about handwriting. I will say that I think there are more relevant and more relevant disciplines that students should be learning, especially in what is certainly a more technological age than what Erica Sanford grew up with at school. And that's, to me, what a lot of these changes just reek of. It reeks of a woman who can't understand education in its current mold. She has her idea of education, probably one that she, and at least you and I, Paul, would be familiar with. And I think she wants to go back to that. And that would also include the removal of Te Tiriti obligations, which also have very strong feelings about. But before I monopolize the conversation, I'll pass it to Bree. Bree, what?
I think, well, first and foremost, I think there was no mandate for these changes. I think teachers didn't ask for any of this. They've had constant change. I can't even tell you the amount of messages that I'm getting from teachers being like, I've taught for 20 years and I'm just done,
Yeah.
And we need more teachers. So that's an issue. I think the removal of Te Tiriti from the curriculum is like unsurprising because, they just passed the regulatory standards bill. But I'm also like, I think it's just a massive distraction to dominate the headlines from the fact that the charter school application process is an absolute shit show. The Ministry of Education are acting really partisan and political on their Facebook pages. The curriculum refresh, the NCA overhaul is in tatters, and teachers are saying it's going to be unteachable. I feel like it's a distraction from all of that. As well as being bad, it's just obviously going to dominate the headlines because there's been so much talk around the treaty this year. So I don't know. I think it's just disappointing. We've been asking for teachers to be listened to for so long, and it's just not happening. So yeah, driving me nuts. Look at all these headlines. That's crazy. That's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing, and let's not forget. It was 200 schools have said that they actually, as of my counting, it was as high as 354 if you're following Tanya Waikato's social media posts. But that also lends to the fact that you also had 600 school principals email Erica Stanford or sign the open letter to Erica Stanford saying, hey, don't do it, here's why. And Erica Stanford in the news saying, oh, well, it's not the first time that the Principals Federation have come after me. And it's like, not a fucking flex, lady. And and wait a minute. So, and like, let's keep in mind, this removal of the treaty obligations, whose bidding is she doing there? Don Brash's. So if you're listening, guys, if you're paying attention at home, Erica Stanford values Don Brash's opinion when expertise as opposed to 600 school principals. That's how much he values.
My mum to me the other day said, Don Brash, if Don Brash is involved, then it's probably not good. He's been around since I was a kid.
Who fucking knew that in 2004, when he lost the election by a fucking landslide, that he would end up becoming the prime minister, the de facto prime minister 20 years later. Everything they're doing is that old fucks. Sorry, guys, that old fucks.
It's the internet. You're allowed to swear.
Passion.
Yeah, I really hope students aren't listening because I've been cussing like crazy. But it's that old fart's entire mandate. Like, it turns out he didn't need to win 20 years ago. He didn't need. Yeah, he's de facto prime minister as far as I'm concerned. Bree, you touched on something before, and I do want to speak to it. Yeah, teachers are leaving this profession. I don't fucking blame them. I don't blame them for a second. I think about when I first entered education 13 years ago now, showing my age. And I remember when the first school I started at, there were like 10 or 11 other young teachers, like a bunch of kind of kids in their early 20s. And then you had the next level, which would be kind of like where I'm at now. And then you had your older retirees, 5 or 6 of them. On the verge of kind of retirement now. And to kind of illustrate the point I'm trying to make, I'll talk about my experience recently at a union meeting. I stood up before the hall to kind of, mobilize the troops and I kind of just paused and just looked around the crowd. And I kind of thought for a moment, I thought about where I'm at now. I saw a room, probably 2/3 of the people in that room were over the age of 50. And I kind of stopped and said, guys, what's this room going to look like in 15 years? What's it going to look like? There's probably going to be a lot less people in here because I kind of thought about it afterwards. I'm still the young teacher. I'm 35. I'm still the young teacher. We're not getting young people into education. You can't be an educator in Auckland, especially, and expect to enjoy a suitable standard of living that matches up to the workload of a teacher. It can't be done. So yeah, a lot of people are leaving Australia, and I'll be honest. If 21-year-old Sean, if 22-year-old Sean were entering the teaching profession today, he'd probably go to Australia as well. So that is something that really needs to be addressed. We say it's not about pay, but it is about a lot of teachers do say that it is about that it's not about pay. And my message to those teachers is that fine, for you it's not about pay, but for a lot of other, I hope that that by you kind of succumbing to that martyrdom, it's at the expense of a lot of other teachers, where it may very well be about their pay for them. It's about
how
the
much
future.
of that is, because again, being outside of the system here, how much of that sort of, it's not about pay mindset, is people going, look, pay is not the primary issue. I want to get paid what I'm worth, and for the show value in the work that I'm doing and the legacy that I'm leaving. But pay is not the primary thing. So it's not like completely downplaying it and feeding into the narrative that you get from the coalition, but it is still a really important factor for people.
It is, but like, if you want to kind of get macro with it, if you like, for me, it's kind of like teaching is a discipline, and not anybody can do it. And Erica Stanford, for all these, like, for all her little digs at teachers, for all of David Seymour's digs at teachers, I can guarantee you they wouldn't last a fucking hour in a classroom. They wouldn't last, David Seymour wouldn't last 10 minutes in my classroom.
Is that because you don't allow Snapchat in your classroom?
I think pay is a huge part of it. Like my grandma was a principal of back in the day when they were deciles, a lower decile school. And I just remember her bringing in food for the students that she would give to them from her own pay packet. If schools aren't being properly resourced, who do you think has to buy the stuff for the kids? It's the teachers, and they're not given money to do that. They're using their own pay. So I just feel like pay is a big part of it. If you're not going to provide them with resources, at least provide them with the money to be able to try to provide them themselves.
Or better school lunches, better yet. Or the quality of school lunches, so that we're not living in this dystopian reality where teachers are having to spend their own money to feed the children in their class. That, to me, speaks to a broken society. School lunches would be a good start. Another thing would be, like, the treaty, in terms of the treaty obligations, what is so fucking frustrating about the quote-unquote removal about it is that David Seymour said, there will be no more Maori visits or blah, blah, blah. And like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I think I have stepped into a marae once, if that, over that time teaching. I don't know what he's fucking talking about, and I've got a sneaky suspicion that he knows that's not what our obligations to mean. But he knows that the people who vote for him probably think that. Like the karakia stuff, and it's like, I think there's like, we do one karakia before lunch. I would hardly call that shoving it down their throat. However, let's actually, and this is something that has been missing from the dialogue of the treaty obligations. And I apologize if this is going to sound long-winded, but I do need to kind of tell a story that of where I feel it was best put into practice. And the reason that I think this is interesting is because it was an old school principal that I worked under. Probably one of the best principals I've ever worked under, if I'm being honest. He was not a fan of Jacinda. He was diehard national supporter, big time. However, he had this great little mantra, and I learned a lot from that. It was, you don't enroll the student, you enroll the family. Now, I don't, and here's why I loved it, because it was kind of, that mindset kind of was a call to the family of going, hey, you guys have whatever your background in education is, whatever your experiences were, positive or negative, know that you are part of your child's learning journey. I don't know if he knew it or not, but he was fulfilling his obligation to the treaty by doing that. And if I were to describe that practice to most New Zealanders, to most national supporters, they would embrace that. They would say that's great. I feel what is so frustrating about this whole Titiriti argument is that a lot of people don't know what those obligations look like. And if you were to actually sit them down and show those obligations in practice, I think there would be very, very few that they would take issue with. So those kind of practices will still be maintained. It's maintained in my current school. Those kind of practices will still be maintained. However, it will be in spite of this government, not because of it. And that's a distinction that needs to be constantly made. So once again, we can't have nice things because of racism.
Yeah.
Isn't that the history of this country?
Yeah, it is. It is.
What I'm going to do is bring out some of the comments that have come through so we can have a bit of a feedback session from people. But first of all, I'm going to jump in with this one from Citizen Gold. 398 days at most of the blatant corruption, which translates to 398 days at most until the next general election. So chances are it'll be before then, but that is the latest it can be. We have this one here from Sam, and it's in the ballot. I'm going to just remove that. That's much better. It says here, first super chat for the collective, and best thing is you can choose which creator it goes to this time. I don't think I get to choose that. I think it all goes through Pat, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, and it can go towards making sure that shows like this and the rest of the Big Hairy Network can continue to be made. We have, so from Wooming here, so summary is, it's fucked. Who fucked it? This coalition of callousness and their lobbyist mates fucked it. How do you guys feel about that? Like, is that anger that you see coming through from the public around this?
Go ahead, Brie.
I'm definitely hearing from a lot of people that are very, very frustrated. And I think what's worse is that the public trust has just gone down completely, like not in just our ministers, but in our ministries because of the way they're having to behave under the ministers. It's not fair. I don't think they're anyone's being listened to, not the students. They haven't been asked anything. Not the teachers. There are kids making government petitions because their subjects are being removed. Like, that's fucked up. And I like what Citizen Gold said as well about, this many days of more corruption, because I think, MPs can't sit in the House and be like, this is really corrupt, and they can't call each other liars either. But we can call it corrupt, and we can call them liars, and that's what they are.
Can you heavily imply it?
Yeah.
You like stand and say, we're not allowed to say this, so I'm not going to say that you motherfuckers are the most corrupt motherfuckers in the history of Parliament. I'm not going to say that.
Actually, this brings up a really good point about this comment. Elizabeth Rata, who I believe has had quite a heavy hand in the new curriculum. She is somebody who I don't know if there's a term for borrowed valor when it comes to tikanga. It's not a field that I'm an expert in, but she uses her husband's name, who was Maori. She is not. She has been pulled aside many times for her work being cited as incredibly racist, misinformed, that kind of stuff. And she seems to have a really strong hand in the new curriculums. Have you guys had any sort of feedback from people about the impact that she's having on the curriculum changes?
Not by name, nobody. I don't think you have to be pretty dialed in to know who Elizabeth Rata is. When you said that before about her husband, my mind immediately went to, my husband is Maori, so kia ora. Same.
Yeah.
But no, there's certainly been talk about the removal of Maori words, about the Maori language within kind of text, of course. It is so deliberate, and it is to me, it kind of speaks to an open intention to homogenize New Zealand with America and, other colonial countries. That's, to me, what it speaks to. I can't, like, my whole thing, if anybody is familiar with my content, is when I kind of deliver a hot take that I don't really think is a hot take, I'll always kind of say, hey, here's all the observable evidence. Mm-hmm. What would a reasonable person conclude if I were to give you this observable, fucking hell, it's a word for me.
The observable evidence?
Thank you. And what would you, if you were not politically dialed in, if you didn't know this stuff, what would you conclude as a reasonable person? What would you conclude when you see the removal of the Indigenous language from the texts that our youth read? What would you conclude? That we don't want children reading those words. We don't want children being exposed to our indigenous culture. It is an active an active attempt at cultural erasure. And yeah, that's my view. And Elizabeth Rata can appropriate her husband's heritage all she likes. That's what it is.
I was at a wedding yesterday and a little girl came up to me and she was like, "Can I sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in Te-Reo for you?" And I was like, "Yes, I don't even know it in Te-Reo." And she sang it for me and it was awesome. I was like, wow, I love this. Like that's the kind of upbringing I had. And in my primary school, I had 2 fires that came in every week to teach us karakia, prayer, singing, all of that kind of thing. And it's interesting because working in the public service, we use all of that stuff. We always say karakias before eating, before shared lunches, before meetings. Most workplaces nowadays have Te-Reo courses. My partner's been doing one for the last 2 years. So I'm just like, why are you taking it away from the kids when it's an expected normal behavior for adults?
You mentioned before that we are public servants and that we are meant to know this stuff. Do you know what's funny? Remember when Erica Stanford said that we're removing these obligations because it's something that the Crown need to adhere to? Teachers are public servants, Erica. It's not the Crown.
Right, I've got a question here for you specifically, Sean. Wondering whether or not you've seen the clip of Erica Stanford saying all children learn the same and what you think of that.
I almost got cancelled. It's one of those things, like the first thought that came to mind, I'm like, don't say that. No, it was, to me, it shows her to say that she has a remedial understanding about how children learn would be a fucking improvement. She has no fucking clue. For her to say that all children learn the same way goes counter to what anybody, again, who has spent even 10 minutes in a classroom could tell you. No, Erica, not everybody learns the fucking same. Do you want evidence that not everybody learns the fucking same? Because this shit, most of us fucking understand, yet you don't. That is evidence that you don't learn the fucking same, Erica.
I was about to say, some people don't even learn at all, clearly.
There you go. I saw Bree lean in.
I was like, I want to get in on this roast.
Well, I tell you what, I will give you a question specifically then as well, Bree. Let me see if I can find where it is hidden. There's so many comments coming through. It's brilliant. And I can't keep up with them all. I'm sorry. So which angles or policies need to be pushed for next year's election around this?
Around this specifically, education?
Yeah, let's talk about this one specifically.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I think that the charter school process needs to be completely halted, completely stopped, no more approvals. There needs to be a completely independent review into conflicts of interest, how transparent the process has been, how the staff are dealing with privacy, that kind of thing. So that is one thing I'd like to see done for sure. And
you have a petition on that at the moment, don't you?
Yes. Yep. You can check out my Facebook page, which is I Am Brie Elliott. I've shared the petition. We've had over 2,000 signatures in like 24 hours.
Yeah, so, I've just popped it into the chat as well for people.
Cool. Thanks. There is public interest in that being stopped because it's not that charter schools are necessarily bad, but we just need to make sure it's transparent. And right now, trust is.
Yeah. So something about the charter school discourse, it really frustrates me. Bree just touched on it before. Charter schools aren't necessarily bad. I would like to add on to that. In fact, I would like to go even further because a lot of what David Seymour kind of points to about the success of charter schools is pointing to these charter schools, kind of the charter schools that are thriving. And I just want to put this out there. If as a school, you can choose your own students, you can choose the best academics, you can choose the best athletes, you can attract the best teachers through choosing your own pay, and you can do it with public money that you are absorbing from surrounding schools in the area, I should fucking well hope that you're achieving. I should fucking well hope that you're thriving. The issue isn't that you're thriving. The issue is that you're thriving with public money at the expense of poorer schools.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue with charter schools. And you're doing it with no accountability. You're doing it with no transparency. That's the issue. It's public welfare. It's corporate welfare. That's what this is. This is openly corporate welfare. Charter schools effectively are private businesses being funded with taxpayer dollars, and they are exclusionary to those taxpayers. Why the fuck are the ACT Party of all parties on board with this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to think they don't really have an interest in small government. I'm starting to think that they don't really care about welfare as long as it's welfare going towards poor people.
Actually, what I'm going to do now is bring in the next slide that I've got, which is this month's news headlines around charter schools specifically. And there's some shockers in there. You know, the signing up to a trust that doesn't actually exist. The new sports academy, for example, that's apparently based on the Phoenix Football Club and the way that they teach. There is a charter school. This one came out today, Opus Dei inspired charter school. Opus Dei is a highly religious sect within the Catholic Church. The Kelston School takeover. There's a lot going on with the charter school space, and it feels a little bit like the Wild West to me. Bree, this is an area that you've done quite a bit of research on, and you've had quite a bit of pushback on as well from those people involved. I'm kind of curious what your learnings have been from what it is that you've researched.
Like someone commented, I just saw it, this is the start of segregation. I think, you know, when you have school zoning still existing and you go to a school in Porirua and you're a really good rugby player, but because you don't go to the specific sports school in Wellington or Auckland, you don't get the opportunities that those kids are definitely going to get. Because some parents can just move to the area where those charter schools are. So I think it's the beginning of a lot of inequities. It's the same issue I have with the Autism New Zealand school. It's like choosing what kind of students you want. I just think that's not cool. Put the funding into our actual state schools, public schools, so that every student can thrive. Every student can become an All Black if they want to. It's not just for those special few that got to study rugby specifically for 12 years. And then what about the kids as well, whose parents are like, I want you to be a rugby player. Like, did you not watch High School Musical? Sometimes it's the dad's dream. It's not their dream. So
I don't know how many parents who are really into getting their kids into rugby would be watching High School Musical.
You'd be surprised.
Well, their kids might. I just think kids should be exposed to an array of different things as children. I did swimming, gym, dance, singing, netball, you know, like you should, because that's how you find out who you want to be. And I just feel like these kind of schools that are segregated towards specific kids are going to limit opportunities for other kids.
Yeah, completely agree. No notes. Bree just figured it out. Exactly. If we could, because my kind of one story that I have a vested interest in would be the Kelston takeover. Kelston, I could throw a rock and I could hit that school right now. It's literally in my backyard. The Kelston takeover, I think, is has been one of the more problematic takeovers, in that you have a school board who voted no, who don't want this. We have a senior leadership team who voted no, who say they don't want this. We have a community who say they do not want this. So why is the application even being considered? And my favorite comment in the video that I posted on it just summed it up in a few words, what took me 5 minutes to basically explain, that you can just take a school. You can just steal a school now. And Bangers NZ has it's such a serious story, but they have such a fucking silly name.
I know. It just makes
Their
me think
website matches
bangers.
their name.
Oh yeah, have you seen their website? Not exactly the type of operations they have. Yeah, I would encourage anybody who's got a phone in front of them, Google Bangers NZ and look at their, ace website. Yeah, real tight operation they have. These guys, these guys who can just take a school, and when you kind of look at the ties that they have, and the fact that they recently got this massive cash injection that nobody knows where the fuck this money came from. It's so problematic. It is so worrisome.
And their privacy breaches. They literally had a document that they didn't redact properly on their application saying that Carlston Boys was a violent primary school and used senior cops' names to justify that without necessarily having validation or verification from the New Zealand police to do that. So they used that as part of their application. It should be declined. And trust me, I have sent them multiple emails saying so, and I've asked it to be all put on the public record so that it is known that people look at this website, guys. This makes my Tumblr account look really good. I hope they don't do IT classes.
Yeah,
that's Karen Shower there as well.
Mercy for Children
on their front page. So this is clearly a highly organized, highly sophisticated outlet.
Yeah. What is so concerning about that takeover for me is that Carlston Boys is one of the biggest schools in Auckland, and if you can do it to Carlston Boys, you can do it to basically any school that is deemed underperforming. And underperforming is subjective, because I wouldn't say Carlston Boys is underperforming. They have a great sport legacy. They have a great kind of cultural legacy. And also, they recently had their highest academic performances in the history of the college. This is a school that, despite this government's best efforts, it seems, are thriving. And, yeah, what school do you go to? Bangers, bro. Exactly.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm getting really niche here with my movie knowledge. Has anybody seen the film Idiocracy?
The documentary Idiocracy.
The documentary.
You mean America?
Yeah.
For the uninitiated, Idiocracy is basically a movie. It's from the guy who made Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, Silicon Valley, Mike Judge. The guy who writes the smartest, stupid people movie. And Idiocracy is the film about how we have a better society where all the smart people stop kind of having kids and all the dummies kind of kept having kids, and eventually led to a society full of just deteriorating, just a deteriorating society where basically you had devolution. This is kind of what it feels like with Bangers. The thing that we go from Carlston Boys to Bangers.
Somebody's actually put through in the chat, and I'm going to give this one a bit of a challenge for you both. Once I can find it, can you give us a positive angle on charter schools?
You know what? I can give you a positive angle. So charter schools could be good, right? But some of the schools that have put applications in are already well-established private schools. So they're putting their own donations or funding into it to run these schools that are successful. And some of them have been being run successfully for decades. And they're being denied. If we gave those schools taxpayer money, I think we'd all agree that we didn't mind some already established schools that have had successful results being a charter school, because they're already doing successful things. Why not help them out? But when it's the schools that have no background, are a bunch of 25 and under year olds trying to run a school, that's not that, So I think it's not necessarily that we're against charter schools. We're just against one, segregation, which I hope all of you are against as well, and two, just the entire mismanagement of the entire thing. It doesn't make sense why some schools got approved and some schools didn't, when the ones that didn't are already established and the ones that have absolute no values. Doesn't make sense.
I think, yeah. I think, yeah. I said it before. I think, I think, yeah, there are plenty of ways to make a charter school great for all the advantages that I outlined earlier. I'm not saying that you can't, that a good charter school can't exist. I would, considering all the advantages that they have, especially lately, I would bloody well hope that they do well, that they thrive. So yeah, against individual charter schools, that's not my issue. I think the idea of a charter school in general, like the actual, in just in terms of should they be allowed to exist? Like should publicly funded private companies, which is what they are, should they be allowed to exist? And if you're coming from the standpoint of, well, what if you were to kind of give them the same oversight as a public school? Well, guess what? We already have that. They're called private schools.
Yeah, go do that.
Just create a private school. That's where my thinking is that, like, it's kind of seems weird right now for me to kind of say, like, as somebody kind of, this to me screams welfare. And if we are going to employ welfare measures, let's employ welfare measures in a way that targets the most vulnerable, not bangers.
I can't take it seriously.
The name is just, it's just out there.
With a Z. With a Z.
Yeah. With the charter school process, and actually looking through your research in particular, Bree, it feels like there's an awful lot of dodgy dealings going on. There's a lot of connections here, that the curriculum's been written by people who have a really vested interest, who have connections to people. It does sound very conspiracy theory in some places.
It does.
Like breaking out the red string. How does this kind of thing impact trust in the government?
Oh, it massively impacts trust. The Ministry of Education, for one, is meant to be an independent industry, basically, that informs the minister of things relating to education, informs the public of neutral information that people ask for, shares resources and things as well, but they're not acting in that way right now. They're parroting the minister's talking points, and they're rejecting everyone's OIA requests. They're not listening to people. I have an OIA with about, I think it was 24 in the end, different organizations asking specifically for outdoor education to be put back into the curriculum, into the business pathway. And they wouldn't send me what their replies to those people were. And why wouldn't they do that? Because it's all just what the minister wants them to say. And I just think, how can we trust that you're going to run our schools well if we can't even trust our Ministry of Education?
Yeah. What is, like, it's always projection with these guys, because what is their reasoning for upending our entire curriculum? What's the word that they keep trotting out? Indoctrination. And to me, it's kind of like, the old expression, every time you point one finger, there are four coming right back at you. You want to know why the Ministry of Education aren't kind of acting as an arm to Erica Stanford? That's why. Yeah.
So when we look at something like the trust issues around Ministry of Education, this month we've also had really big trust issues in place with the New Zealand Police Force. and everything that's been going there, the cover-up that was going on at the top of the police force. We've seen the Minister of Children put out false information and then try and walk that back. We saw today, and I haven't had a chance to put this up here, the Minister of Police calling the police department corrupt and then walking that back on Q&A this morning. I think they recorded Friday. He called them corrupt then. He put out a statement yesterday trying to walk it back. We've seen the government itself sneak around and do things really quickly without proper democratic process, without proper public consultation. And we've seen them do something which seems to help their mates out, like the school lunches program, and then decide, oh, you know, that didn't work. Let's go back to the system that we had before, but tell everybody it's our idea. How much trust should people have in their government, and how much trust do you think people should have in this government?
I'm about to get really teachery on you.
That's fine.
Okay. You teach people how to treat you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll throw it back to the audience. How is this government? What has this government taught you? How have they taught you to treat them? Have they taught you to treat them as a body that can be trusted with these things? That's all I'll say. I'll pass it to Bree.
I think you should be able to trust your government. Obviously, you kind of have to trust your government because, you know, they're kind of in charge of everything. If they could just shut down all the banks and the supermarkets and everything, and, you know, like, we kind of have to trust them. But right now we can't. And I feel like we're at this point where we're like, well, what are you meant to do? The question I get all the time is, well, what can we actually do? There's nothing in place. And every time my only answer is vote, I guess. Mm-hmm. Vote.
I don't mean to go off topic here, but even voting, like, sorry to sound doomsayer, guys, but with this RSB in place, like hopefully when Labor say that they intend to completely do away with it, to completely scrap it, I hope that's the case. But in a world where kind of if we have a government that employ incrementalism where a version of the RSB still stands, that is extremely worrisome to me. Because think about what the RSB was. The RSB, the Regulatory Standards Bill, is a redefining of who our laws and regulations are made for and who they are now and who they are made by. It's a complete redefining. It used to be that these laws and regulations were made with us, were made for the public good. Now it seems very much to be for corporate interests. And I worry if the people who are going to be overseeing these measures are not the people we elect. I wouldn't blame somebody for feeling a little bit hopeless right now. I'm not saying that you should feel that way. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I get it if you do feel that way.
Yeah, I think this comment's a good one too. Like, hold the next government to account. Like, we want pay equity back on the table. You promised that, so do it. You know, we want te tiriti to be respected in schools. We want that to be upheld. Put that back. You know, expect those things. We need to be holding higher expectations for our MPs. Like when Winston yells at people and he swears and he says young people are woke and like deranged, we should be like, that is not okay to say that. Like, hold higher standards.
How much of the media should be involved in that then? Because the media is the one who often, with Winston in particular, and sometimes David, just go, here is something he said. It was horrible, but this is what he said. Do you think that that's something that the public sees and that eats into their trust of government?
I just did a paper on this actually, about how we're kind of losing the fourth estate role in New Zealand due to like lack of funding and that kind of thing, and how people are seeking out more independent media and they're seeking out opinion-based media, people like us, because that's just the kind of culture that we're moving into, I guess. So I think people like us have a real responsibility to ask questions, scrutinize things, say the things the MPs can't, and just hold people to account. I think we have a really important role in that.
Yeah, a big gripe that I have, so a big gripe that I have with the media in this country also kind of leans into why so many people are tuning into the content that we create. And what I think if I were to kind of summarize it, it would be if me and Bree are on a political panel with Ryan Bridge, and and I say, hey, it's raining outside, and Bree says, no, it's not, it's sunny. Ryan will kind of turn to the audience and say, well, Sean says it's raining, Bree says it's sunny. I'll leave it for you, the viewer, to decide. Solid Ryan Bridge impersonation, I know.
We need to do something about the hair.
Yeah.
Ryan, for all his faults, he does take very good care of his hair.
Magnificent set of, and I'm starting to think all that hair gel is seeping into his brain. But that's a big issue because that's kind of, and I'm picking on Ryan Bridge, but he's not the only one. It's kind of a case of, well, Sean says this thing, Bree says this thing. What do you guys think? Ryan, I'm saying Ryan like he actually did this. In this hypothetical, Ryan should be looking out the fucking window. That's what media used to be. It's not really what it is anymore. And when media does try to be that, when media does try to report on things that happen the way that they happened, what is the first attack they are given? That they have a left-wing bias. And I feel, and that's another big issue, and that is kind of a symptom of right-wing populism that we see with David Seymour and Winston Peters, and even with Christopher Luxon now. I think that is their go-to. When you actually do see good journalism, you can bet those assholes are going to be right there to say, well, see, they've got a left-wing bias because they're saying bad things about the bad things that we're doing.
How dare they?
I know.
I don't mind if people have a bias as long as because everyone has a bias, but as long as you're just open about it. Like, I'm very open. I'm like, I'm a lefty. I'm a lefty. I'm proud. That's just everything is through that lens because that's how I was raised. So
yeah, there's no hide the ball with us, is there? Like,
no, but it does bring me really nicely into the last big topic I've got here for the night, because this is one that has been shaped by media quite a bit, and it's about the idea of banning social media for under 16-year-olds. This is one that we've seen. Well, the one that actually sort of gets my goat up a little bit is Zuru co-founder Anna Mowbray on why she's keeping her kids off phones and backing a ban. You know what? I don't give a fuck. I don't care what Anna Mowbray is doing about her kids. They're her kids, and if she can parent them however she wants, why the fuck is that a headline? Because she's a millionaire who helps pay the bills for these people, and it just pisses me off. It shouldn't be news.
These guys are the fucking Kardashians of this country, and let me explain why. Let me explain why. Because I've never watched a single episode of the Kardashians. That show's been on for 20 years? I've never seen a single episode. I know who Kim is. I know who Khloe is. I know who Kourtney is. I know who Chris and Bruce / Caitlyn now. I know all of their past partners. I know about Kanye. I know Scott fucking Disick. I know all of them. And I've never watched a single episode. Why do I know so much about these people, yet I have never once asked to? And that's the Mowbrays. I'm like, why do I know who the fuck these jabronis are?
And let me teach you as well something about Anna Mowbray. So she helps run a company that literally sells in China, I think, like toys.
Chinese-made toys.
Of course you want social media banned because you want kids to go back to playing with Tamagotchis and freaking Bratz dolls. Like, obviously she wants it banned.
Yeah.
Why is the media not being like, why are we asking this person? And why would this person have this opinion? Is it because they benefit? It's like not hard to ask questions. That's your entire job. Can you start doing it?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting angry, but it's annoying.
Yeah.
Who cares?
We need to shut up, otherwise they're going to sue us.
I'm just like, my real name is Brianna, right? And like, I don't want to have my name associated with that person. Because
my name is Sean Plunkett for the Mowbray.
Seen Auckland. Yep. Got it. If we take a look at the headlines around this, how do you guys feel that the media is leaning on the topic? Because there's some stuff here that's very much this is bad. There's a couple there that are, is this actually going to work? Do you think this is that the media has a preconceived idea as to what should be happening or what the outcome of this is going to be?
I just think it's so funny that this is the same government that says that we should stay out of people's lives more, and then they're pushing this ban that is like complete overreach into people's lives, but because it's kids, it's like okay, because they can't answer back.
I'm going to sound conspiratorial here. What demographic of which social media platform would the younger demographic be on? Most likely, probably TikTok, right?
I think the Deputy Prime Minister said it was Snapchat.
He wishes. No, yeah, it'd be TikTok. And what is TikTok full of? It's full of a bunch of obnoxious, know-it-all, lefty, commie, indoctrinating machines, like the three people on the screen right now, among many others. Yeah. So it makes all the sense in the world to me that now these schools are trying to keep kids off their phones. They weren't doing it when they were exposed to all the boomer Facebook content. They weren't doing it then. And it's not a new thing. It's not a new thing either, trying to kind of suppress information to children that may compromise a right-wing worldview. This is not a new thing. It's been happening for decades. It happened. It has. I can trace it back to No Child Left Behind in America 20 years ago. You can go with national standards. When I first started teaching, you can do it now with the charter schools. Bree, you pointed it out before. It does seem like these guys have this theory that children are being indoctrinated in our public schools. So they're taking measures to prevent that from happening. The social media ban is an extension of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a great question here that's come through from Citizen Gold about this one. Let me bring it up. Fuck the why of it. I want to know the how. How do they go about making a ban? Sean, you have experience in classrooms dealing with people under 16. Resourceful? Are they going to get around it?
We like school. There are schools that have, kind of exposing some trade secrets here for any kind of. We have like a little phone box that you have to put your phone in.
I had that at school.
Yeah, and if you have a scary enough teacher, like my kind of little sadistic thing is, hey, I hope I catch you with your phone, because they're actually fun, and they usually pretty quickly they hand the phone over. They kind of take the loss there. There are measures that plenty of teachers can take to prevent students from accessing their phone during schools that don't include banning them from social media. By the way, there are probably people in the chat, and there are probably people listening to this conversation who do want to ban their children from social media, who are cognizant of the harm that it does. And I completely understand that. And if you want to make that choice to kind of restrict social media use for your kids, you do you. I don't think it's something that we should be legislating. That to me does speak to a type of overreach that I feel like the small government guys should be agreeing with me on.
So the coalition at the moment seems to have a belief that as parents, you should be the ones to educate your children about reproduction and sexuality. But when it comes to phones, they're going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And also, if the issues with algorithms and platforms, then why aren't you regulating those platforms and those algorithms? Why are you trying to regulate kids? Like, I just feel like I don't want to see crazy videos either. The internet's been the Wild West. I grew up with the internet. I got my first cell phone when I was 6, because I had a single mother, and me and my sister had to walk home by herself. So I needed a phone so I could keep in touch with her. And kids are sneaky. Kids know how to do stuff. I met a kid recently who told me that they went into the staff room and took a photo of the staff Wi-Fi password and then told all the other kids about the staff Wi-Fi password. Kids are smart. Kids are smart. They're going to find ways around it.
I remember at a school I worked at, there was one kid who managed to, what are they called? The boards that they have outside the school, the kind of the announcement
the signs
board.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like the electronic signs. He managed to hack into that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know what he said. I think it was, but like the kids are clever, man. Kids are savvy when it comes to technology, and you are fighting an uphill battle when it comes to regulating a group of people who know more than you about this stuff.
Yeah.
Don't tell my kids that.
Yeah.
Go around and fix the VCR. I am of the generation that used to have to go and fix the VCR for my grandparents, and now I'm at a point where if there's something wrong with one of the servers, I have to call one of the kids to get it sorted because I'm not touching that, and it makes me feel so old. But I know that they're resourceful. They would find a way around a ban like that if they needed it, or if they felt it was necessary.
When I worked at Ministry of Justice, I remember getting told off for typing too fast, and I remember cracking up because I was like, I make heaps of mistakes, but I delete it quicker than you type it. Like I can delete it and rewrite it quicker, probably. So like it's not an issue, my speed, but I just thought that was so funny. I was like,
that's so
weird. If I'm really fast, imagine what kids nowadays are going to be like.
Yeah. I have heard with especially voice to text, some people trying to change their accent a little bit because it's not so well trained on our accent, but it might pick up something like Australian English or American English or British English, that's very weird, very strange.
Revolving.
Yes. Yeah. Now I've had a question come in here from Josh, which I'm going to bring up because this is another big thing that's come up today that I haven't had a chance to plan. What are your thoughts on the top revamp? Have you guys heard about the top revamp?
Yeah, somebody needs to explain it to me. So I always called them the Opportunities Party.
Now they're the Opportunity Party, singular. The opportunity is them. They are the opportunity. Newly announced
the opportunity.
Yeah, the opportunities. So they're just going with vote opportunity.
Okay, so not vote. Yeah. I feel like they could have done it if they wanted to do it. I wouldn't call it a revamp because I'm like, it's they're saying don't say top anymore. Say the vote opportunity. So they but like at the same time, that and party, and you're not going to eliminate those two words from a political party.
Yeah.
You say the Labour Party, and
I just thought their application process for a leader was weird. Like
it was basically a job application, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was like, I would never apply for that. It just feels like not like most parties have a very democratic process to become a candidate. You attend your local events and people vote for you or whatever. And if you're the best person, it's because everyone kind of thinks so and you've been voted in. But this is like apply for it like a job.
Yeah.
If you write the best AI CV, we'll give you it. Like,
pretty much.
Weren't they the ones last election talking about an AI candidate?
Oh yeah, it sounds about right. This is these guys kind of fit the mold of for those who people may not know the Ezra Klein reference, but there's a guy in the US called Ezra Klein who kind of speaks to this political philosophy of abundance, which to me is just kind of like a revamped neoliberalism. I don't think top are that bad. I don't think they are. There's a lot that top put out there that I'm like, yeah, I'm on board with that. I feel a degree of sympathy for top. I think I remember. Sorry, I keep calling them top. They'd hate this. I remember in the last election. You remember those political compass things?
Yeah.
When you went online and you did the political compass to see who you should vote for. I think that was so great, and I hope they bring it back this time around. And I think I remember a poll where it was like top were like third, and the parties that people would vote for. And I kind of feel kind of sorry for them. And I think that 5% threshold is a very unreasonable threshold to break. And I don't know, that probably needs to be addressed. I value a lot of what Top has to say. I think, probably not for me, and also there seems to be a lot of kind of, just in terms of political calculations that I don't think were very, very well thought out, especially in the last election.
Who else is in that party? Do you know?
Did I hear Polly Gillespie? Am I crazy?
I don't believe they've released their full list. They've got a new leader who is Keeley Wong. She's been in business for many years. She decided she wanted to go into politics, and she spoke very well about the sort of vision that she's got for Top without going into details, which was kind of fascinating. It's like, we're going to do this with tax. We're going to have a flat tax. We're going to change to a land value tax rate. They're going to basically create a UBI that is based on how much you earn. So if you're at the lower end of the income, you get more than people who are at the highest end of the income who get nothing. Replace benefits and things like that, but no specifics on it. But one of the things she did point out was that they recognized within the party that they got too intricate with the details, and they weren't really good at selling the sizzle last election. And they want to avoid that this year. It's not a bad thing to have the details, but I think they're pretty spot on with the identification of the issue.
Like, I'm rooting for them, and that I think that they'd be a valued voice. And I like the fact that that so many people landed on them for their political compass test. I'm like, well, obviously these guys do speak to a certain sect of the voting base. So in my mind, whether I agree with them or not, they should be represented. I think their play to kind of try and oust Winston Peters and do that sweetheart deal with National in the last election, that was not thought out well. Because Top, if you look at, when I look at Top's policies, the UBI, for example, I'm like, that seems like a pretty left policy, to the left of what Labor would be proposing. But then you've got the flat tax. And I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty act. And they seem, I think they need to kind of establish their identity. I think they need probably more seasoned politicians in their ranks, and they need to kind of make better political calculations outside of a name change that, to me, isn't really a name change, because there's still the fucking Opportunities Party. Or the opportunity.
And they've got 498 days to fix that, like to change the public's perception on that.
Yeah.
I see Johan put in the chat, I applied for that leadership job ad, didn't get it, but now I'm a paid member of Top. Just wondering, like, did you have to sign up to be a member to apply just for the ad? Because that kind of seems like a way to get people to join your party.
That's a great question. I mean, it might be a case that they had a look and went, actually, you know what? This is something that I'm kind of curious to know a little bit more about.
Yeah, I'm curious. Johan, let me know.
The comments are open. Are open.
Just curious.
That's good. One of the things that pissed me off the most about, and I shouldn't blame Top for this. Actually, here we go. You have an answer from Johan. Yep, $20 annual membership fee. During the local body election, there was a Top candidate who ran, actually where my parents live, down in the Waipa. There were 3 candidates running. One was absolutely insane. Groundswell is the best thing in the world, and the WEF is coming to take over our water supply. Literally insane. The other was the incumbent, who doesn't seem to do very much in the community. And the third was somebody who ran for Top. I messaged her and said, I want to make sure that the insane person doesn't get elected in the community that my parents are in, and I got no response back. And that kind of annoyed me.
That's in line with everything we kind of hear about these guys. And from what Johan is saying, I'm starting to wonder if they're a pyramid scheme.
Yeah. Like,
started by Gareth
party.
I'm not even joking, yo. I'm not even joking. Like, they didn't even elect their leader. It was a fucking job.
It was a seahead. Wait, we could do that, guys. You could
Start a political party with a
We'll
secret.
just get a leader. We'll make all the policy secretly, and then we'll put an ad up, and we'll make some woman front it.
Yeah.
But do you want to be the face of a party you know nothing about? That sounds horrifying.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. Started with Gareth Morgan, who I think just opened like a sculpture farm or something down towards Wellington or down that way. I don't know, but they're trying to rehab his public views. And there was a question that popped up. I don't know if you saw this one, Brie, but it is for you. Let me see if I can track it back. I know this isn't the further back I go. I should have just clicked on it when it came in. And now here we go. Bruce would like to know, are you AI today?
Yes.
Do we need to give you a paradox and
yeah, I probably am going to start fading soon.
Yeah.
We used up all our tokens.
We've cropped out the Flora 2 logo in the background.
Yeah.
You notice how my bottom half's never in videos, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, is that why? That makes perfect sense.
That's going to be.
I don't have legs.
That makes perfect sense. Right. I'm going to throw you guys a sticky question now. This is a question that has been given to me this week from someone who's going to remain anonymous, and these sticky questions we're going to do every month. There'll be one that I can't answer, and that's why I'm sort of calling on everyone else's help for this one. If people want to send me a sticky question, they can. It's super easy. Just go to info@paultheotherone.com, flick me an email with it, and we will try and find the stickiest one to go through in December. So this is the question for this month. I'm the only person at a local political party branch under 70, so have landed the social media role by default. The party rules for social media, though, are too restrictive, and I want the candidate and party to succeed. What can I do to make a positive impact in the election with such a limited tool?
That's a good question, man.
Yeah, I can speak to this a bit because recently, I just saw this. Yes, I'm real. I'm real. Every time I meet people, I'm like, I'm a real person. I'm very small. But I was thinking about this. So I've recently joined my local electorate. So I've been going to meetings and helping volunteer and that kind of thing. And I'm one of the younger people in that environment. And I think, what's really nice is that young people are being trusted, I guess, to give their insights in that kind of space. Like, I think, like I was saying earlier, I think we hold a really important role of kind of being that fourth estate, or sort of being communicators for things. Like, the party makes the policy, but we kind of translate it in a way that people would understand through different backgrounds and experiences. Because we probably all have similar views on things, but have our own lived experience to back up why we feel that way. So I think just getting in touch with local people, local journalists, content creators who can help you campaign in a modern way is probably the way forward. I also think as a young person in a party, it's really important that you get super involved and push for more young representation, because it's great that you want to get involved, but you also want to feel represented by your party. So, don't be afraid to put your hand up and do a bit more as well.
Bree touched on it just then. I'll extend on it. I would really recommend finding other social media creators, kind of making kind of friends with them, doing collabs, stuff like that. That will grow that will really help with your growing your platform and, making your megaphone bigger. And this is going to sound super, teachery again. Restriction fosters creativity. So look at your circumstances and think, how can I get creative with this? What funny things can you do with a bunch of 70-year-old lefties on social media? That would be a good starting point.
You could do some fun content with that.
Oh, yeah.
He's grandpa for the first time on TikTok. So the had some responses come in on this one. What does Luxon do? What Luxon does in TikTok? He is the king of TikTok, apparently. Does anyone else cringe every time you see his face pop up on a social media outfit?
Oh man, like people keep roasting his social media team in the comments. I'm not going to do that. I love his social media team. They're the best because I sincerely believe they hate him. They try to make him look foolish, and I appreciate them. So if you are running Christopher Luxon's social media account, know that I appreciate you.
In fact, all of National, like whoever's doing Nicola Willis's account, National's account,
keep it up.
You clearly don't get paid enough to do a good job, so
these charisma vacuums.
Well, that actually sort of brings in the next response from Ian. Is the leader of the limited tool? I'm not going to comment on that one. I got a comment here for you, Brie, from Kiwi Skirt. She gets accused of being Pat all the time, so you don't need to worry about being accused of being AI. So Mr. Old Mr. Frodo says, if you're the only person under 70, you accidentally joined New Zealand First. Get out. I can confirm this wasn't New Zealand First because the person who sent me this message would rather poke out their eyeballs with hot forks than sign up for anything to do with Winston Peters.
So this is a real situation someone's had?
This is a real situation, yeah.
Oh, okay. Definitely try to push for more representation if this is you. Push for more We need more young people. We don't just want you running social media. You can do more than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That comment's great.
Yeah. Fernsman, do what Zoran did. Ask people what their issues are. I think that's such a brilliant way to connect. And his social media game was on point.
Yeah, bro. He won because of social media. You can't convince me that he didn't. He was. And hey, bad news for you Democrats. Zoran will not be the first because Zoran was just this. I don't know how old Zoran is, but
33, 34.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So pretty social. He's of a generation that is more social media savvy. And to the shock of nobody, Chris Cuomo couldn't keep up. And you Democrats who are panicking, guess what? You have very good fucking reason to panic because Zoran is not going to be the only one. He's merely the first.
He's the start. Yeah. I always think that about myself. I'm like, people are like, we love Gen Z. I'm like, I'm 99. So I think Gen Z starts at 98. So I'm one of the oldest Gen Z. Think about the few that are under me.
96.
Is it 96?
It's 96, yeah.
Well, there you go. Still, I'm one of the older ones. Like, all the ones below me, they're even more outspoken. Like, we're only just starting, I reckon.
Yeah. It's only going to get worse, guys. May as well pack it.
V-Bunch sent this one through. Often parties can't get the young people to come along and join in.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm trying to say so hard, like, try to push to be a representative, because I think it's off-putting to go to parties when you don't feel like you're being seen in that party, you know?
Yeah. Zoran did a lot of door knocking too. Yeah. And there's a lot of like, hey, that's always, what do you hear with these big underdog stories? These big kind of underdog victories. I remember they were saying the same thing about Chloe Swarbrick when she won her seat. What was Chloe Swarbrick doing? She knocked on every single door in that area and she won. So if you're to any kind of aspiring political candidates, if you're an underdog, door knocking, man, don't underestimate it.
What do you think the risk is of this happening then? Zoran getting the Tory whānau treatment while mayor, just endless assaults by the media over petty bullshit?
That is a really, really good question. Do you want to have a crack at this, Brie?
Yeah, I mean, Tory whānau is an amazing example of someone who just does shit anyway. Like, definitely a role model for me. I get a lot of hate as well, and it's hard being a woman in this space that's been dominated by men for so long. I think it could be the case, but I think as long as like you just can't go wrong if you're honest all the time. Just always be honest. and then no one can get you on anything.
Yeah, like the reason I wanted to throw out debris for that question, I don't want to, because I like being brutally honest. Zoran, he obviously does belong to a protected class, but at the end of the day, he still is a male politician. And there is a privilege that comes with being a male politician that was simply not extended to Tory whānau. I'll say this about Tory, and I'll say this about Benjamin Doyle, and it sucks that they have to go through this, but someday there will be a Maori wahine leader, much like Tory, who will not have to go through all the fucking bullshit that Tory had. And it's because Tory already copped it. So I think history is really going to be kind to her. I think she did an excellent job as the mayor of Wellington. I think it sucks what happened to her. I think it fucking sucks what happened to Benjamin. Unfortunately, it's just the nature of this beast where there has to be that sacrificial lamb. And, you know, and again, like I'm kind of speaking from this, easy for me to say, right? You know, yeah, it's just from, again, observable evidence. Someday we are going to see more people like Benjamin. We're going to see more people like Tory in position of power, and they're not going to have to go through all this bullshit that they had to go through because it's already been done.
The reason we have to point out sex is because it is just a fact that it's harder as a woman in these kinds of fields. Like, they have been dominated by men for a long time, so it's not been long that women have been in the political field. But I think that Jacinda for me was a really great role model because I'm 26, you know, I'm prime breeding age, and she showed me that I can be an MP, I can be the prime minister and have a baby, as long as I've got a supportive partner, which I do. So I think,
So is this an exclusive? This is the plan? Prime Minister, baby.
And then Madam Speaker. No,
Governor General.
But I do just think it's made it less of an issue for me. I don't even think about when I'm going to have babies. I'm just going to do it when I feel like it, and it's not something I'm going to consider because people like that made it possible. And same with Tory whānau. Like, I've watched her be hated as my mayor for the last however long, and I've watched her deal with it, so I'll deal with it, and the people after me will deal with it, and there'll be, like Sean said, a point where hopefully they don't have to deal with it.
Let's get bored of it. Like, and again, easy for me to say. That analysis could be wrong, because Lord knows, you know, it's not. It's been happening for decades. Like, you guys, I'm getting really, really in the weeds here. But back in the 70s, there was this guy. I think his name was Rob Moyle. He was a Labour MP who Robert Muldoon accused of being a homosexual.
How dare he?
Yeah, well, back then it was right, you know. Big, you know, it was a big accusation at the time, and you know, at the time, and that's what really made the Benjamin Doyle situation for me just so sad. Because I'm like, geez, we were doing this shit 50 fucking years ago, and here we are doing. I thought we had gotten better. I thought we as a society were not vulnerable to the same bullshit scare tactics.
What is the one consistency between then and now?
Winston Peters?
Winston Peters.
Winston Peters was there back then. Yeah, good call, Paul. Yeah.
He's been around that long. Maybe people should help him retire.
Yeah.
Someone with winners in his name, he loses a lot.
Really does.
Yeah. Well, it's the nature of MMP. Like, you want to talk about, you know, it's funny that guys like David Seymour and Winston Peters, who constantly like to talk about people getting special privileges, when there are no two politicians in this country who have been bigger beneficiaries of legacy privilege than Winston Peters and David Seymour. That's what MMP is. It's an exercise in equity. These two.
Winston, literally, the taxpayers paid for more trips for Winston's wife than I've ever had in my life. I said to my partner, if I ever become an MP, you get one taxpayer-funded trip in the whole time that I'm an MP.
So
I'm not doing a Winston. You don't get to come on every trip. That's really rude.
We're coming up the 90-minute mark, so I'm going to just run through some of the super chats, and then I think it might be time to sign off so I can go get food, because it's been a very long day. So Edelweiss, who I did see in the other chat, says he's just got to pop off, so I hope they get to see it. Who's worried about Seymour's incoming appointment as Minister of Regulations?
Like, he hates regulation, so shouldn't he be doing nothing? Shouldn't we not be worried?
He wants to cut back on regulation, and he adds an extra layer.
Yeah. I think he's not going to do anything. It's just a title for him so that when he moves back to Canada, inevitably he can look like he did something while he was here.
Oh, that's so cute. He's going to have a little play title. Yeah. Today I was Superman when I was playing with my daughter. Yeah.
The problem is that pretend is the highest waged ministry that we've got.
Like what?
That is the ministry that gets the highest salaries.
Yeah.
Because of course it does. Yeah. Mr. Arvid here, awesome first step team. That's good. I'm glad it went well. Keep up the great mahi. Thank you. David Thompson. I have met Brie at a protest. Didn't seem very AI.
I'm real.
You're real? That's good.
I'm real.
All right. And then Mike Bray says, loving the show. I'm glad I remembered to tune in. Thank you. That's fantastic.
Thanks for coming.
Just see if we've got any other things. There's so many comments that have come through. I'm not used to this. We've got 340 people watching at the moment.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
No
Thanks
pressure.
for not telling me that, man. I would have freaked out.
Yeah, I would have freaked out too. I was really shaky at the beginning.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, I just like to make a replacement. I don't know what name I gave. It was Colin Moyle. Colin Moyle.
Okay. That makes sense.
Thank you, Gary.
Oh, yeah. Gary is... I would never, ever question anything that Gary says about Parliament, history of Parliament. The man is a legend. He has been there for so long, so involved with it. Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's bow down to his expertise. Right, last question for everybody then, which is super simple. Where can people find you before we get to our next episode next month?
I can be found at I am Brie Elliott on everything. 2 L's, 2 T's. On TikTok, Facebook. Yeah, I think I'm just on those. But yeah, you can find me there.
Okay.
Yeah, Sean Ackland, not Auckland. Sean Ackland, Ackland. Spell Sean.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that, what you see. Now, I know that a lot of you people probably seen Auckland. It's Sean Ackland. I've just had so many videos referencing me. By the way, all saying kind things, so I'm not going to give too much. I'm not going to give too much smoke, but they always say either seen Ackland or Sean Auckland, or I had Dane Ackland.
I reckon you need to say something like, I'm Sean Ackland because you are not with me, or something.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Ackland without you.
Ackland without you. Yeah. And then I can be found just by doing a Google for Paul, the other one, because I'm not Paul Holmes and I'm not Paul Henry, and I would never want to be. I am the other one. And to answer this final question from Stuart, yes, all going well, Jordan will be here next month. It's just curse of getting sick, really. So
yeah,
we'll get him rested up and wheel him out and put him on for a Christmas show. We could put him in a Christmas outfit.
Yeah, Santa.
Yeah. Actually, I should check when our next episode is so we can tell people that as well. December. I know it's December.
We'll keep them entertained while you do that.
Please do. Start juggling. Doing something. December 14. That's right, December 14. Yeah, so that way it is well before Christmas, so people can still go off and do their Christmassy things. And we'll set up the schedule and everything like that beforehand so everyone can tune in and go, yep, perfect. And then plenty of time off for Christmas and not falling on Christmas itself. Any final thoughts before I press buttons and say goodbye?
Thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. And thank you, Paul, for not telling me the amount of people.
What the heck?
I actually, honestly, I thought you guys could see it on screen.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So thank you so much for joining in. Tell your friends if you like the show. Tell your mates. And yeah, follow us on our socials for more goodness.
Perfect. All right. Until next time. Yes, ka kite anō, everyone.
Kite.